Remotely piloted aircraft, more commonly known as drones, have been in use for some time now, mostly by the military.
Their use has created some controversy and even some embarrassment, like the Iranian capture of that CIA drone earlier this year. But get ready to see and hear a lot more about this technology as it makes its way from the battlefield to your backyard. When you think of drones, you may think of missile-packing predators taking aim at terrorists overseas. But smaller, airborne drones are about to become a much more common sight.
So now I'm flying under a first-person view.
Hobbyists like Ed Oburn have taken radio-controlled airplanes to a whole new level. In a plane he built from scratch, a small camera called a GoPro is mounted in the nose, and a transmitter sends a picture back. Just like Air Force flyers guiding a Predator, Ed uses a camera and transmitter to fly his plane.
And these are the video goggles.
And he can see what the plane sees while wearing these special goggles.
I see the McDowell Mountains out the front of the airplane. The video transmitter has 10 channels on the 5.8 gigahertz band.
Ed keeps his plane within sight even while wearing video goggles. To fly it further or above 400 feet, would require a special license from the FAA.
This one here is actually a product of a senior design.
To test its flight drones, the University of Arizona in Tucson does need an FAA permit.
This is a certificate of authorization where the FAA allows us to fly.
Professor Herman Fassel instructs students who design, build, and fly these drones at the U of A's School of Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering. To be more precise, these drones fly themselves.
They can fly it autonomously without interference from the pilot on the ground.
No pilot in the air and no operator on the ground. That's right. A computer brain inside the aircraft tells it where to go.
Every decision is basically made on the computer system.
It sounds like a good prequel to the Terminator. But Dean of Engineering Jeff Goldberg says it's more about science than science fiction.
The eventual goal is to get airplanes that will fly themselves to complete missions, not only individually but in teams as well.
The U of A even has an indoor lab for testing computer-flown drones.
In this lab, we actually do testing of control algorithms.
Richard Sanfelice is an assistant professor. He oversees students who write computer flight instructions. They use cheap, off-the-shelf radio-controlled helicopters and planes to test their programs in the lab.
We implement it in a computer and we test whether the control algorithm works or not.
As the computer took the controls, we watched it fly a small drone in a perfect circle and return to a nearby table. The second time, a hit and miss. The third time, well, it landed on the floor safely. Once deployed in the real world, a failure in the skies above a big city could be a drone PR nightmare.
A failure could be tragic.
The first part of the FAA mandate is to be able to integrate these kind of systems into the national airspace in a safe way.
By the fall of 2015, Congress wants the Federal Aviation Administration to license remotely piloted aircraft, or drones, throughout U.S. airspace. However, more than 50 institutions nationwide already have FAA licenses to operate them, the U of A included.
Our job is really to design the technology, and our job is to make it safe and make it useful, low cost, high reliability, and controllable.
But it's not just universities getting the drone permits. The police department in Arlington, Texas has one. It got a license to use this remotely piloted helicopter. Boeing uses a Pentagon permit so it can test and fly its Hummingbird helicopter drone made in Mesa. And of course, the Department of Homeland Security has one, so the Border Patrol can fly this civilian version of the Reaper along the Arizona-Mexico border. Many more police departments, cities, and state agencies across the country already have FAA licenses to fly drones, but few guidelines on how to use them, something that concerns the American Civil Liberties Union.
It's very, very powerful technology.
Alessandra Soler-Meets is the executive director for the ACLU in Arizona.
We should have rules spelling out when it can and cannot be used.
After all, no one wants a drone looking in their bedroom window.
Can they see inside my kitchen? Can they see inside my backyard? I mean, this is frightening.
When it comes to licensing drones and drone operators, The ACLU wants to make sure the public is part of the process and that privacy concerns are not ignored.
It's just un-American to start using these drones to conduct surveillance on Americans who've done nothing wrong.
I tend to choose airplanes that are very stable and easy to control anyway.
In the meantime, Ed Oburn will continue to fly his video-guided homemade planes,
On the right are the aileron controls.
where an empty road works just fine for a runway. And he hopes new rules for flying drones don't go too far.
I think it's inevitable that they're going to regulate it to some extent. And I just hope that that's done in a way that lets us continue to have fun.
You wonder about news gathering. Will there be a Fox 10 drone? You wonder. The FAA is also looking for places to test drones and develop licensing rules. Arizona has already lobbied for a testing facility here.